everybody! What is this? Unbrushed hair, that's what it is. Welcome back to Kacie's Chronicles Part 2. So last video I was basically addressing a little bit of what Crohn's is, what I went through, and basically how it sucks. And actually I'm going through a flare-up and I'm having an issue right now where I thought it would be perfect to make a video for other things that Crohn's can cause, which is what I'm going through. Fair warning, it's really graphic. It can be. So yeah, heads up. Okay, so Crohn's is known as the poopy butthole magic disease, where you have a shit ton of problems intestinal wise, can't speak, colon wise, and your butt wise. And I literally mean your butt cheeks, butthole, the good. So as I was saying, Crohn's is basically about your butt and intestines. Sums it up, but it can move anywhere. It can go from, apparently I found this out not too long ago, your esophagus all the way down your intestinal tract to your butt. So what I'm going through right now is I have a possible abscess or fistula, and basically what happens with Crohn's, if it flares up, there are 4 possible things that can happen to your colon or your butt or butt cheeks. And 2 of the options is what I just said, fistula or an abscess. I'll go into those in a second. The other 2 are ilonidal cysts and, sorry, I had a really bad experience with that, and anal fissures, I believe, as well. So yeah, we'll dive into that right now. Okay, so in my past experience and current experience, I've had 3 of the 4 and possibly have 1 of the 2. So to start off with abscess. So if people have somewhat an idea of an abscess, what it is, but there's a difference between a cyst and an abscess. So an abscess is sort of like a pocket of infection, except if you leave it long enough, and my family knows this through my surgeries and stuff as well, it can grow. It can cause tracts and tunnels. If it starts from deep within, it'll push all the way out, or starts at a pocket but there's no more room in that pocket, so it'll push through tissue or whatever and cause little tunnels to spread. So I possibly have that. I have been sick for about 6 months. No, I don't have corona. I've had about 6 to 8 coronavirus tests just around the past 6 months trying to figure out what's wrong with me. I finally understood what happened. I'm pretty sure I have some sort of infection in my butt cheek. So it's most likely a cyst, and if it is, it has been growing from deep within and pushing the infection all the way out to the surface. It is ridiculously painful. I sat down to go pee and I felt something and I was like, oh god, oh no. And I felt it, and this was about 5 days ago. It was a little not bump, but it was a little swollen, compared to the other skin. And I pressed and it hurt. And within the past 5 days now, it's a giant bump and it hurts to sit and walk. And depending on where it is, it really affects you. It's a pain in the ass, literally and figuratively. And I just realized that I had a giant rant about abscesses, and in the middle of it, I called it a cyst. I meant to say abscess. Whoopsies. Okay, on to the next of other lovely butt stuff Crohn's can cause. So the other one that I said is a possibility is a fistula. Plenty of experience on this. It's a second butthole. And for those of you that are wait, what? Give me a second, let me explain why. So Basically, a fistula is a tract from your colon or anal canal that goes to the outside of like your anus or hole, your butthole, and goes out. So I don't know if that made sense. So let's say this is your butthole, right? And like deep in here is your anus leading to that. And there's, I don't know how or why, there's a tract that goes from the inside of your anus all the way out. So you have a second hole right around your butthole. And it's open. It's completely open for like infections, even feces come out. It's a whole nasty thing. But it happens. I don't know how or why. Crohn's just magically does it. My first experience with the fistula, I ended up sitting down. A lot of me finding out I have things ends up with me sitting down. I guess that just happens when you have butt problems. But I sat down and I felt a pop, and I looked and there was a second hole where it shouldn't be. I was freaking the mother F out. Like, I had a hole in me. It wasn't bleeding, it was just there. It was freaky. And I ended up going to the doctor who had to take out my intestines, and he put the Ceton in, the zip tie. And the reason they do that is because, like any deep wound, it needs to heal from the inside out. So they keep it in there so it can close, and there's no like pockets of air or fluid or anything that can get in it and cause an infection all over again, or, you know, have to redo it because it won't close. And word of advice to people who have it, check on it, keep an eye on it, you know, it's still a wound. Things just need to heal, especially with Crohn's patients or immunosuppressed patients. It takes a while. It takes a long time to heal, and if it doesn't heal properly, you have to redo the whole process. Okay, now that the fistula rant is over, on to the next, which is a pilonidal cyst. This I mother effing hate more than anything on this list. I hate it. I've had a terrible experience with it. I still am scarred. I hate the doctor. Excuse me for my rant. Fuck that guy. That was, I think, the first experience I had ever with Crohn's, was a pilonidal cyst. Cysts are similar to abscesses, except they're a pocket of fluid or infection. They don't grow, they're just sitting there. And for those of you who knew me, family, I used to have a cyst on my face that was this big. They had to take the sac out because it's in a sac. I am so sorry to whoever has pilonidal cysts or cysts of any kind. It sucks. I had a pilonidal cyst on my tailbone that grew to a point where I couldn't even drive anymore or sit. Nothing worked. It stuck out that far. And I didn't know any better. I didn't know what doctors to look for. This is the first time I ever experienced anything like this at all. I'm gonna probably fucking cry, to be honest. I hate it. Sorry, I hate this so much because this is my first traumatizing experience. For my mom too, unfortunately. So, the doctor I went to, he didn't have a license for anesthesia or to perform surgeries. I had no idea that it's advised to usually be knocked out when taking out things like this. And, he just used lidocaine. And I was just laying on the table, and at least to say it didn't work. I felt he was going down to my bone, and I said that, and my mom told me later that he said no, but he looked at her and went like, yeah. Depending on how big it is, I guess, sometimes they can, pop it and let it out and let it drain and stuff. But this was like, depending on how big and how infected and all this stuff. Yeah, I didn't know any better. Usually abscesses are the ones where they advise to be under anesthesia, and cysts are more of like, I believe, I remember my doctor saying this, like just cutting open and draining right then and there, but it was such a deep pilonidal cyst that I don't know. I don't want to go into too much detail for your sake and mine. It's I hope no one else has ever had an experience like that. Yeah, that was like the start of my PTSD, to be honest, and I don't wish that on anyone. Okay, on to the final one, that is an anal fissure. I believe, and I've heard, and I've known people with Crohn's that have had this issue where it's a tear in your rectum. I don't know how or why. If anyone out there has Crohn's and you've had this experience, if you feel comfortable sharing, let me know. But it's a tear, and I can't even imagine how painful that is. I really can't. God, butt stuff sucks. So that concludes the 4 basic ones of like butt problems that I know. And what about it in my experiences? If you know other people who've had these experiences and you feel like sharing, or those who've actually had it, feel free to comment, message me, do whatever. I don't know. I'm curious, because obviously my story is completely different as someone else's is, a bunch of other people, and I'm sure there's much more that I'm not even aware about. Hopefully you guys learned what each individual thing means. I can't talk, I'm sorry. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you learned something. If you see someone sitting weird, don't judge them. Most likely they have a butt problem. You never know. Yeah, I don't know. Have a wonderful day, guys. That's it. I will keep you updated on what happens. My bet's either a fistula or an abscess. We'll see how it goes. Have a wonderful day, and stay kind.